presses them together, making the fingers interlace. There you have it. That's what one must attain. I advance, you understand, all of my canvas at one time, together. I bring together in the same spirit, the same faith, all that is scattered. All that we see disperses, vanishes. Is it not so? It ought to make us taste it eternally. What is underneath? Nothing, perhaps. Perhaps everything. You understand? Thus I join these straying hands. Tones, colours, shades. I take them from left, from right, here, there, everywhere. I fix them. I bring them together. They make lines. They become objects, rocks, trees, without my thinking about it. They take on volume. They acquire value. If these volumes, these values, correspond on my canvas, in my feeling, to the planes and patches of colour which are there before my eyes, very good. My canvas joined hands. It is true. It is full. But if I feel the least distraction, if I think while painting, if I intervene, why then everything is gone.
Well, what about our painters and sculptors? Vicky, do you find that in your own work or in students' work? Not common, is it?
First guy said it sounds marvellous.
Of course, art is a jealous mistress, and one has to give one's whole life to it. John, you any views about that?
First one is that looking outwardly, one becomes aware of a little inside. And wishing to become more familiar with that inside, one becomes intensely affectionate towards all those qualities which reflect and resist that inside. Then the third stage seems to be to practice finding a way to unite all these impressions with one's body, with one's response to them. So that the purpose being to find a new source of energy.
John Hersey says that, I'm sorry, it says it seems to him that this really works out in three stages. The first is looking outward. One becomes aware of an insight. And the second stage is really the desire to become more familiar with that insight, to try and find the qualities which it reflects. And the third follows, which is to try and practice a way to unite all the impressions with the body. And yes, this seems to be a way of trying to find, the purpose of it seems to be to find a new source of energy.
Of course, each painter has to find how to do it. But the real artists, they're all trying to do the same thing, aren't they, in a way? But they express it in their own way and they go about it differently. I must say, when I came into Sean's exhibition, I felt something of this in those lovely golden birds taking off, and a heavy material of metal. I had a sort of lyrical feeling there. I hadn't been to Emma Hardy's exhibition yet, I'm very sorry to say. But at any rate, we have representatives, and if anybody else wants to say anything, anybody who paints, we aren't all Cézanne. All right, now about musicians, musical composition. Here's a passage from Beethoven.
I carry my ideas about me for a long time, often a very long time, before I commit them to writing. My memory is so good that I never forget a theme that has once come to me, even if it is a matter of years. I alter much, reject, try again, until I'm satisfied. Then, in my head, the thing develops in all directions, and since I know precisely what I want, the original idea never eludes me. It rises before me, grows, I hear it, see it in all its size and extension, standing before me like a cast, and it only remains for me to write it down, which is soon done when I can find the time, for sometimes I take up other work, though I never confuse that with the other. You will ask where I find my ideas. I hardly know. They come uninvited, directly or indirectly. I can almost grasp them with my hands in the open air, in the woods, while walking, in the stillness of the night, early in the morning, called up by moods, which the poet translates into words, I into musical tones. They ring and roar and swirl about me until I write them down in notes.
And of course, one of the fascinating things about Beethoven was that even when he became physically stone deaf, this process of inner hearing went on. Well, then, of course, there's the very well-known letter from Mozart to a certain baron. I'm afraid those who know it by heart already will have to listen to it again. But
when I am, as it were, completely myself, entirely alone and of good cheer, say travelling in a carriage or walking after a good meal or during the night when I cannot sleep, it is on such occasions that my ideas flow best and most abundantly. Whence, how they come, I know not, nor can I force them. Most ideas that please me I retain in memory, and am accustomed, as I've been told, to hum them to myself. If I continue in this way, it soon occurs to me how I may turn this or that morsel to account, so as to make a good dish of it, that is to say, agreeable to the rules of counterpoint, to the peculiarities of the various instruments, and so on. All this fills my soul, and, provided I am not disturbed, my subject enlarges itself, becomes methodized and defined, and the whole, though it be long, stands almost complete and finished in my mind, so that I can survey it, like a fine picture or a beautiful statue, at a glance. Nor do I hear in my imaginations the parts successively, but I hear them, as it were, all at once. What a delight this is, I cannot tell. All this inventing, this producing, takes place in a lively dream. Still, the actual hearing of the tout ensemble is, after all, the best. What has been thus produced, I do not easily forget, and this is perhaps the best gift I have my divine Maker to thank for.
well, then he speaks about how the question of writing down and polishing and all that is perfectly easy, and he can do it with his children playing around during the day. But his last paragraph is interesting.
When I proceed to write down my ideas, I take out of my bag of memory, if I may use that phrase, what has been previously collected in it, in the way I have mentioned. For this reason, the committing to paper is done quickly enough, For everything is, as I said before, already finished, and it rarely differs on paper from what it was in my imagination. At this occupation, I can, therefore, suffer myself to be disturbed. For whatever may be going on around me, I write and even talk, but only of fowls and geese, or of Gretel or Barco, or some such matter. But why my productions take from my hand that particular form and style that makes them Mozartish and different from the works of other composers is probably owing to the same cause which renders my nose so large or so aquiline, or in short, makes it Mozart's, and different from those of other people. For I really do not study or aim at any originality.
Well, this is a particular one of mankind's major activities which interested Mr. Rupensky very greatly. And he maintained that they all had in common peace and quiet for the inception, memory, knowing exactly what you want, skill which you've developed over a long time, and selection at the moment of production, in the course of production. When he wrote Tertium Organum, he did nothing else but get all his ideas down on sheets and sheets and sheets of paper. He didn't drink, he didn't do anything else, he didn't go to the office. And when he'd got it all down, then began the tedious work which he could do after the office was finished, and arranging sources and all the rest of it. Polishing. Well, that's for your interest. We needn't dwell on the other great activity which Mr. Rupensky said that with creative art, this was the highest form in human life, which was great scientific or intellectual discovery. Both those, discovery and creative art, can change the whole course of human life. They're both rare, and they both come from quite different types of people. The scientific discovery usually comes from the upper story and starts in a different way, and so on. But some kinds of discoveries, inventions, and technology can arise in the lower story, like Faraday, for instance, setting up experiments, doing things with your hand. Anyway, the richness of the human endowment as regards the activities it's possible to see is enormous. But we here are interested in the inner possibilities, which are even more enormous. The actual process of getting from all the chaos of our sense organs and the artificial world we see and perceive, and gradually giving up everything with the one idea of meeting with one's creator, the source of everything. What one does with the energy thus gained, and what one hears from the instructions, the source, and how one finds a way to carry them out, this is one's own affair. But the process of meditation to reach this divine source of energy and knowledge is one of giving up during at least 2 half-hours a day. Both ways of looking at the outside world, at our actions and other people's actions, and looking inside to find the source, both are absolutely necessary and invaluable. And the great art is to bring them together. Any questions about it all? I don't know whether the process of choreography is of the same kind of category or great dancing.
Choreography, it falls in the pattern that everything's been said. Yes. Yes. So it falls somewhere between the painting and the poem.
Yes. But it is a question of making patterns, isn't it? And you must know what you want. Well, yes, there's a question from a poet.
Eric Gill once said that an artist is not a special kind of man, but that every man is a special kind of artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many are poets, but without the name. But Mr. Fenske's contention was that if you hadn't spent your life training in some mode of expression, it all went off in dreams, like the lovely dreams that ordinary people have. And well, now it's about 15:15, and we'd like you to forget diagrams and addicts to diagrams, and we'd like to have a little music leading us into meditation. So, Richard, would you mind playing the Women's Prayer from the movement? This is one of the latest talks, continuation of one we read last Monday from the Shankaracharya to his people. An old woman was sewing some garments at night, and her needle fell on the floor. While she was searching for it, the light went off. She continued the search, and because of the surrounding darkness, she even went outside the house in her search for the needle. Then she came to a lamppost, still searching for the needle. Somebody asked her, "Mother, what are you searching for?" She replied, "I've lost my needle, and I'm searching for it." So that man also joined the search. After a little time, he asked the old woman, "At what place did you actually drop it?" And she replied, "In my room." Similarly, happiness resides inside our own antakarana, and we are searching for it in the outer world. How can we ever find it there? We cannot find it outside, even if we go on searching for it during our next 7 lives. Whenever and if at all we find it, it will be found in our antakarana only. The antakarana that keeps forgetting is the place where this memory can be revived. Now, when and how could the memory come back that the happiness and everything we look for is inside us? It's when somebody reminds us, just as happened in the case of the old woman, that the stranger reminded her about her lost needle. Here's another version about getting to know the nature of the divine self. Another version of the story, told slightly differently. A devotee was devoting himself to the worship of the Paramatma sitting under a tree. The Saint Narada passed that way and asked him what he was doing. He answered that he wanted to meet the Lord Vishnu and wanted Narada to ask Vishnu when there would be a meeting. Narada took his message to Vishnu and brought the reply that Vishnu will only appear before the devotee after a lapse of as many years as there are leaves on the tree under which he was sitting. Surprisingly, on hearing this, the devotee began to dance with joy. Narada said, "Just try to understand what Vishnu has been saying, that it would be as many years as there are leaves on this tree. Your whole life will be finished in this business." The devotee answered, "I don't mind all that. The idea that Vishnu would actually appear before me gives me quite enough happiness." Before Narada could get away, Vishnu appeared there. And so Narada became very angry. He asked Vishnu, "How is it you have made me out to be a liar? You were only going to appear after all that number of years, and now you've appeared instantaneously." Vishnu replied that the laws of creation, the laws of evolution, the maintenance and destruction of the universe do not apply to me. It is I who ride on time. Time cannot ride on me. Time is subordinate to me. Vishnu said to Narada, "Look at the intensity of the joy which this man is feeling on merely being told that I will appear before him. So how could I not appear? It wouldn't be right. Paramatman is summoned by devotion. It is not true that Paramatman can only be got through hard work, nor is it true that he can only be got through grace. Both work and grace must be there. Well, have a very happy Easter, and we'll meet again in a month's time. And show me any pictures you painted and play any music. Richard, I never asked you, I'm sorry. And the feeling I am. With that, perhaps a little lightening of the heart, let's do another 2 or 3 minutes of meditation and see if we come out of this up high.
Consider while meditation are the things which really actually help and promote the practice of meditation. I think I found that the physical noises and that sort of thing can overcome quite easily. One's own everyday thoughts are quite difficult to overcome.
Yes.
But the worst thing is trying to dissociate the practice, the actual doing the thing, from the idea.
Yes, yes. That's quite great. What's your name, please? Miss Clark. She says that the most difficult thing for meditating is really one's thoughts about meditation. All those sort of things. Ordinary thoughts and physical noises and so on, one can, they're an obstacle, but one can get around them reasonably well.